Hello, my lovies, and welcome back to our little corner of the world, Things Left Unsaid, with me, our Kamara. Now, over here, we get deep, we get vulnerable, and we just have an overall good time with a side of yap. And today, I don't know if you guys are going to see this or not, but I am recording my first video episode. You guys might know that because you might be watching it, but if you don't see this, then it's because I couldn't figure out how the fuck to sync the audio up with the video, and I just gave up. But today might be my first video episode, and even if I don't upload, just know I did record my first video episode today. Now, I am in my mum's car. I'm visiting my parents' house right now, so I'm in my mum's car, and I was practicing driving up and down the driveway just to make sure I still had it. I'm not taking my driving test. I can't be asked, and that's just not something I want to do. But I am in my mum's car, and I was previously, before I started recording, I was driving up and down the drive just for the funsies. I don't think I've driven a car in 2 years, so I've still got it. But anyway, I have officially nearly been 20 for a week now, but in my mind I've been 20 for like the past 3 years, but it was my birthday last week, and I made the decision to start this podcast in May because I really wanted to record this podcast episode, 20 pieces of advice from someone entering their 20s. And I think, even though I just turned 20, I think I've lived 1,000 lives already, and I've been in so many rooms with people that are a lot older than me, and I think I've always surrounded myself with people that are wise beyond their years. So I think I've learned so much, and I could use everything I've learned to help some other people out there, or just give some overall advice for things that I have learned being 20 and things I've learned from people in their 20s. Like I said, I've always had a lot of older friends, and I've always surrounded myself with people that are a lot older than me. So I have learned so much from them. And again, I've always been very mature for my age. And I think in these 20 years, I have learned and experienced so much. I've learned positive things, I've learned negative things, and I've just learned a lot of things along the way, and I wanted to share some of that with you guys today. Some people that are listening to this are probably already in their 20s. I know some people that listen to me are a little bit younger, but the majority of the people are around my age. But I just wanted to share the things that I've learned and the things that I've experienced with you guys today. And I've made a pretty chunky list of things, so we might split this into 2 parts maybe, but this isn't my birthday special, because my birthday special was on my birthday. But let's just get straight into 20 pieces of advice entering your 20s. And I mean, the aim of this episode is to honestly tell someone out there what it is they need to hear. And I hope that some of the things I might say in this episode might help you out of, I don't know, a situation that you're stuck in, and just kind of knock some sense into you. I hope that one thing I say in this episode might hit a bit close to home and knock some sense into you, really. But yeah. So the first thing I have on my list is an apology without change is manipulation. You can only say the word sorry so much. You can only say the word sorry so many times before it completely loses its meaning. Saying sorry doesn't automatically make everything better. The word sorry is meant to be used because you really mean it, and you're gonna grow from that and learn from that and do better. If you say sorry but you keep repeating those same actions and making those same mistakes over and over again, you aren't sorry. in the first place. And if you have someone in your life that is constantly fucking you over and you always accept that apology and you always think they're going to change, they are taking that as, oh, I can hurt them as many times as I want. And as long as I wield and weaponize the word sorry, they are going to forgive me. And sometimes you have to let people know, you have to cut them off to let them know, sorry just isn't going to cut it this time. And the word sorry isn't enough because you've overused it. Just like you can overuse a phrase or a certain word, you can overuse the word sorry. And then it completely loses its meaning. So many people think the word sorry is like a get out of jail free card. And they do, they wield it dangerously. They apologize over and over and over again, knowing in the back of their mind, they are going to repeat the same mistakes. And because they've been forgiven so many times, they're going to keep making those mistakes and they're going to keep getting forgiven. And you have to cut some people off. Because sorry is just a word at the end of the day. Sorry is just the word. The actions that come after the apology is what really matters and what really solidifies if you meant that apology or not. Because again, sorry is just a word. It's the actions after that really count. And this might make me sound crazy, I don't believe that every apology needs to be accepted. You don't have to hold a grudge against someone, but you also do not have to accept their apology just because they say sorry. And that's my mindset, because sometimes someone can hurt you so badly that an apology just really isn't enough because those wounds that they've caused run too deep. So yes, sorry is considered the best apology you can give to some people, but sometimes sorry just doesn't cut it, and sorry isn't enough to mend what's been broken, and it's not. And you shouldn't have to accept negativity in your life just because someone apologizes and says sorry. So I'm going to repeat the first thing I said again. An apology without change is manipulation. People think that they can use the word sorry and it's going to get them wherever it is they need to be. People think that they can fuck you over as many times as they want, and as long as they apologize, that's going to keep you hooked and that's going to keep you thinking that they're a good person when they're not. Because people aren't stupid and they know that all words have meanings and they know the weight of the word sorry. But you can overuse the word sorry to the point where it means fuck all. Do not let people manipulate you into thinking that your feelings are not valid. If someone's apologized to you and you still feel some type of way about it, that's okay. That's okay, because what they did to you hurt and your feelings are completely valid. An apology isn't just going to fix that. But like I said, do not get wrapped up in the word sorry. Okay? This is an extreme example, a crazy example that I'm throwing out there. If I reversed right now, right? If I turned my mum's car on and I reversed right now and I went out that drive and, I don't know, I went and checked my makeup in the mirror and I hit someone's grandma. If I apologize, the grandma's ended up in hospital. I apologize. The grandma's still in hospital. It doesn't change anything. Yes, I've apologized. That's fine. Cool. 3 days later, I'm reversing out the drive again. I hit this grandma a second time. I apologize. She's in hospital again, but I apologize. 2 days later again, I reverse out the drive. I hit the grandma again. The grandma is still in hospital. I've hit this grandma. Just because I have apologized doesn't make it okay. This grandma's still in hospital because of my actions. Just like you can hurt someone's feelings by making stupid choices. Sorry, I had to stop recording for a second because where my parents live, where I used to live, they've got this airfield and they're always flying the planes overhead and patrolling the area. So it's loud as fuck, and I had to stop recording. Like, you couldn't hear anything. Even with the sound cancellation, you literally couldn't hear anything. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, just because I've apologized doesn't change my actions. This grandma is still in hospital. An apology isn't going to change that. Just like me apologizing over and over again, but then constantly going back and hurting someone's feelings, it's not going to change anything because my actions haven't changed. An apology can only get you so far. And I think that's why people get manipulated so easily in relationships, because they truly believe that people that care about them wouldn't intentionally hurt them. So when this person apologizes, they take it as them being honest, because you can't believe that someone that loves you could hurt you. You could love someone so deeply and hurt them over and over again, repeatedly, because love can only get you so far. It's about that respect. Okay, if a person doesn't respect you, they can love you, but if they don't respect you, they will hurt you over and over again, and they will not care, and they will not see it as deeply as you do, because the respect just isn't there. Love can only get you so far. It's about that respect. So if someone keeps hurting you over and over again, but apologizing and then doing the same thing again, it's because they don't respect you. They might love you, but they don't respect you. And that is your sign that you need to let them go for the better. And it will do you the world of good letting these people go. Because if they really cared about you, they wouldn't hurt you over and over and over and over again. And that's just the fact. And I am gonna leave that episode there. And actually, before I move on from this point, I think I have always been a very forgiving person, sometimes too forgiving. And people can take your kindness for weakness. And one thing that I have learnt is putting your feelings first and knowing when to let go does not make you any less of a kind and good person. It means that you are trying to protect your peace and your heart, and that's okay. And it's not selfish, and it doesn't make you a bad person. And I think that that is a battle that I have been fighting for so many years. I used to think that if I didn't accept someone's apology, that made me a bad person, because they were apologizing. So they didn't mean to hurt me, but I something in me couldn't forgive them. But I always forced myself to forgive everyone, because I felt like if I didn't accept an apology is a hard thing to do sometimes. Accepting that you're wrong and accepting that you've hurt people is hard to do sometimes. So I thought that I was a terrible person for not forgiving these people that kept fucking me over and hurting me time and time again. But that is not the case. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is know when to let go. And know when people don't actually care about you the way they claim. But it is okay to not accept people's bullshit apologies, because sometimes it is exactly that, bullshit. And they don't mean it. They're just saying it because it's what society has taught us to say when we hurt people. But again, an apology without change is manipulation. And sorry and an apology can only go so far. It's the change that really proves if someone cares about you. But we're going to leave that there. Okay, people, unfortunately, again, if you're not watching the video episode, this isn't going to matter, but my camera is about to die. So, if I do upload the video version, there is going to be a change in quality. Okay. There is going to be a change in quality because I'm going to start recording on my MacBook. Yeah, camera just died. Okay, so the camera died, but the show must go on. I am now recording on my MacBook, so the quality is terrible. But anyway, the next piece of advice I have is, and this is something I have been struggling with a lot recently, it's okay to let a friendship or relationship die. It is okay. I think that especially if people have been friends for years, they think that because of that, they have to stay in each other's lives because this person has known you the longest and they know you inside and out, and they knew you before you really found yourself. But just because you have been friends for years does not mean you have to stay friends. Because if you stay friends with someone for that reason, you are slowly going to start to grow resentment towards them. Because you don't actually want to stay friends. You just are forcing yourself to stay in this friendship that really doesn't hold any value anymore. And it's okay to let people go. You still have those memories that you shared. You still have so much love for this person, but you've just grown apart. And it's okay to let them go. And I want to do a whole separate podcast recording on friendship breakups because they really do hurt more than anything else, because this person knows you so deeply, so much more deeply than any boyfriend or girlfriend ever could, sometimes even more than your own family members. But I have a friend, a best friend, and we have been friends since we were like 6 years old, but recently we have grown apart and we are at two completely different stages in our lives. And we don't really speak anymore, and they are probably going to be listening to this, and I have so much love for them. Like, we are going to be sisters for life, but we have grown apart. And I think for a long time I was in denial about it, but I still value this friendship so much. But I think I need to stop clinging on to what it was, because it just isn't that anymore. And I'm gonna always have so much love for this person, but we have grown apart and we don't make sense together anymore. And that is okay. And I think over the past year, I have been battling with that, because this is one of the people that knows me the best. Again, they knew me before I fully knew myself. And I don't want to say I'm letting the friendship die, but I'm just not putting pressure on it anymore. We don't have to be best friends just because we've known each other since we were 6 years old. Like, I love this person so deeply and they are going to be my sister for life. But maybe we're just not meant to be in each other's lives as we used to be forever. And you can still value the time you spent with a person and the lessons you learned with this particular person without keeping them in your life. And I'm not saying I'm cutting this person off completely, because I think that they will always be a part of my life. I know that they will always be a part of my life, but I'm not putting any pressure to maintain this friendship, because I know it's not what it used to be. And I think doing that and realizing that, especially with childhood friends, hurts so deeply, because you've known each other from the beginning and you've watched this person grow up and they've been such a massive part of your life. But I think that we are just very different people. And sometimes you have to let the friendship die when they will never reach out to you ever, and it's always you reaching out to them. And I know some people aren't really texters or callers, because I know I'm not a texter or a caller. Sometimes I disappear from social media and I ghost everyone. But if it's always you reaching out to this person and it feels like they are never reciprocating that, then I think that's a sign that you do have to let them go. And I mean, for me, I knew that I was ready to let this person go. And this is so crazy. It was when Jenny released her Ruby album, and it was the last song on the album, and it's called Twin. And I was listening to that song, and this person immediately came to mind. And I remember listening to it for the first time, and I couldn't stop bawling my eyes out, because I knew in my mind that this person was who I was thinking of when this song played, and this song spoke to me so deeply because it was something that I was currently going through, a friendship breakup. And I knew I was ready to let this person go when I listened to that song the next day, or like I think 3 days later, and I wasn't crying this time. I was just smiling, because I will always love this person, but we have drifted apart and we have grown apart. And that was when I knew that I was ready to let this person go and let go of the expectation of the friendship that I carried so heavily because we've been friends for so long. But I think it is important to know when to let someone go, because you don't want to tarnish that relationship completely. Like I said, if you keep holding on to something, you might grow resentment to that person because you can't let go. And I think it's better to let this person go and still have so much love for that person before you grow to hate them. And, you know, again, friendship breakups are so tough, because your friends are the people you turn to when you're going through a breakup, or things are difficult in school, or things are difficult at home, and you know that you can always go to a friend. And when you and that friend experience a rocky patch, or you're experiencing a breakup, that can hurt so deeply, because you would have gone to this friend if you were going through a friendship breakup with someone else. And now you can't turn to that friend because they're gone as well. And it can be so difficult. But it is okay to let relationships die. And I'm going to move on from this because I don't want to talk too much on it, because I want to do a whole separate recording on it. But again, it's okay to let relationships die. And it doesn't make you a bad person. You can still value that person, but know when to let them go. And that's all I'm going to say on that one. Okay, I think the next one I've got on this list is very important, and it's surround yourself with people whose morals align with yours, because the company you keep is very, very telling. And they say birds of a feather flock together, and I think that saying is somewhat true. Because a lot of my friends, for example, this is more of a light-hearted example, but a lot of my friends, they smoke. A lot of them, some of them do drugs, some of them don't, but let's use smoking as an example. A lot of my friends do smoke, and I am around these friends, and I never feel influenced to do that, because I know my mind, and I know I'm not going to do something I don't want to do, because I'm not easily peer pressured. When you're younger, however, it is a lot easier to be influenced by the people around you, because you do want to fit in. You do want to fit in. But I think that just because I'm around people that smoke doesn't mean I'm ever going to smoke. And even in secondary school, a few of my friends, they were, I don't know what I can say, but a few of my friends, they were involved in gangs and drug dealing. I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but I wasn't really close with these people because I didn't want to get wrapped in on that. But sometimes the people you are with can influence you more than you think. And you could be a strong-minded individual like myself, but the more you are with people, just like The more time you spend with someone, you pick up their lingo and their slang and the way they talk and maybe their favorite phrases, and you implement that in your vocabulary as well. Just like you can pick up on people's way of speaking and their mannerisms, you can also pick up on their actions and the way they act. And sometimes it can impact you negatively. Sometimes it is positive. But the more you spend time with someone, the more you see how they act, and sometimes you think it's okay to follow in those footsteps, if that makes any sense. So as much as you say you will never let anyone's actions influence you, if you spend a lot of time with someone, sometimes the things that they do will slowly seep their way into your character as well, without you even realizing it. And I think that that does affect you a lot more when you're younger, because I'd like to think the older everyone gets, the more mature they get and the more strong-willed and less easily influenced they become. But sometimes you do mimic what people around you are doing without even realizing you're doing it. So I think the company you keep is very important. I also think that as a society, we are in very uncertain and scary times. And I know that with me personally, all of my friends' political views align with mine, and I would never want to be friends with anyone who would, for example, agree with a genocide on a particular group of people. I would never align myself with people that would believe that. And that shows because all my friends have the same political views as me, because I wouldn't surround myself with people that believe the opposite, if that makes any sense. And I am very open-minded and I am willing to hear people out, but with certain things such as a genocide, for example, I would not be willing to hear you out. So I will only surround myself with people who are like-minded in that sense. And I think that when you surround yourself with people that have differing opinions, there can be a lot of conflict. And with some things, it's okay. Like, your favorite fruit is mango, for example. My favorite fruit is mango. But one of my friends, my best friend Kaz, for example, she hates fruit and she absolutely hates mango. I would not end the friendship with my best friend because she doesn't like mango, you know? And that's a less controversial example. But with more serious things, I think that it is very, very important to not keep company with people whose political and moral opinions could clash with yours. And I know for me, at least, I try not to be a judgmental person, and I try to be as open-minded with everything as I can be. But I know that as much as I try, if I were to hear that any one of my friends agreed with what was going on in Palestine, for example, I'm not sure that I could. I know I couldn't overlook that, and I know I would look at them completely differently, and that's why it's so important to befriend people with the same morals as you. And that's not me saying you have to be friends with someone that agrees with everything you say and you can't be friends with someone that has different opinions. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that morally, when it comes to something of that level of extremity, is that a word? I don't think it is. When it comes to something that serious, when people's lives are in the balance, it is okay to not want to surround yourself with those people. And I choose not to surround myself with people like that because I do completely disagree with people like that. So again, it's so important to be around people whose morals align with yours. And I'm going to leave that one there, I think. We're already 30 minutes in, lads. Come on. And I've only said like 3 points. And that goes to show that I really don't shut the fuck up. But if you guys could see the way I'm balancing my MacBook right now to record this video, it's literally balanced on top of the steering wheel. One wrong move and there is a wasp trying to get in. There was a wasp trying to get in. I'm not a fan of that. Now, my next point I am very, very passionate about, and I truly believe, and I am proof of that. Everything starts with self. Now, let me explain. Low self-esteem will lead to, at least with me, low self-esteem led to fear of missing out and jealousy, and along with that, envy. And that is because I thought so lowly of myself that I truly didn't believe that I was deserving of anything. And I talked about this, I covered this in my episode that I did on jealousy. But because I felt so lowly of myself, I thought that if my friends were going out and having fun without me, it's because they hated me and they didn't want to be around me. And I was so close to destroying so many good friendships because I really just did not like myself at all. And confidence comes from self-love. There is no confidence without self-love at all. So if you learn to love yourself, and if you love you first, before anything, if you fall in love with yourself first and become obsessed with you to a healthy scale, because you can love yourself to an unhealthy degree, these things just won't affect you as much, or maybe at all. And it all starts with self-love. And I truly believe that everything starts with self. The mind is such a powerful tool. And I think people think that manifestation is a joke, but the power of the tongue really does exist. It really does. So everything starts inwardly. Confidence, inward. People can only give you so many compliments, but if you don't believe it yourself, it's really not going to get you anywhere. And that's with me. That was the case with me. My family would always tell me that I was the most beautiful angel in the world, that I was their special girl. And everyone always told my family that I was destined for greatness and I was so amazing and I was so special. And that would go through one ear and out the other because I didn't believe it. Why? Because I didn't love myself. I genuinely, there wasn't a person I hated more in this world than myself. And then I got to like 17, 18. So not long, but I am so proud of how far I've come. And it's because I did that work inwardly. I sat myself down and I would write in my journal and I would ask myself, what is it that you don't like about yourself? And then I worked on it. And now I'm at a place where I am so confident. But I couldn't have gotten there to this place if I hadn't worked on myself and done that inward reflection. So once again, everything starts with self. If you don't believe you can do something, then you can't. I genuinely believe that I can do anything I put my mind to, and that's because I've done that work inwardly and I've told myself that I can do anything I put my mind to. And the proof of that is how confident I am now. I genuinely never used to think that I could get to a place where I was so confident and I fully loved myself inside and out. And now I'm here. And I proved to myself that anything I put my mind to, I can do. So people can only believe in you so much and compliment you so much. But again, if you don't believe that yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. So once again, everything starts with self. If you want it, believe you can do it, believe you can get it, and then what's stopping you? You know what I mean? So again, everything starts with self. Moving on. My next piece of advice that I have on my list is meet as many people as you can, because meeting people is an experience. And it truly is. It only takes one person and one networking opportunity to completely change your life. Meeting people leads to opportunities and growth and self-discovery, and it truly does. I think that I know that if it wasn't for a lot of the people I've met in my life, I wouldn't be where I am now. For example, the stylist that I would work with a lot, I would not have had the confidence and I would not have met the people that I have if I hadn't taken that opportunity with the stylist. And I mean, she took a chance on me. I mean, when I met this stylist, I had just turned 18. No, I was just about to turn 19. Yes. So in meeting this person, so many opportunities came from it. And I was on set with so many amazing artists and makeup artists and directors and photographers. And I made my own little contact book just in a year of doing styling because I met this stylist. And I really do miss styling, but we're not going to talk about that too much. And you know, the opportunity for Fashion Week that I did when I styled my first Fashion Week, which is still absolutely insane. In doing that, I met so many good friends, and I met these four girls, but three in particular. And we just spent a lot of that summer together going to networking events and different parties. And then we got invited to this Ashake launch party for his latest album. And that's when I got tatted up. So if I hadn't had taken the opportunity to style at Fashion Week, I wouldn't have met these people. And it wouldn't have led me to making all the amazing memories I did after I met those people. So meet as many people as you possibly can. And again, even at this Fashion Week, I met so many people with amazing clothing brands that I could pull for styling. I met so many amazing photographers there as well that I could use when I need to build my portfolio, and we became really good friends. And on set for styling, I met these amazing artists and these amazing people while I was doing collections with these sick archives, and I have their phone numbers and I could call them up and borrow pieces that I need from them for shoots, for my own shoots when I get back into styling. And all of that because I went out and I met people and I got this experience. And I think you truly gain life experience from going out there. I learned so much from being on set, and I'm 20. And looking back, I know I tear myself down a lot for it, but I have achieved so much. And I was only doing styling for a year and a half, so imagine how much more I could have achieved if I carried on doing that. But imagine how much more I will achieve when I get back into it. And it's all because I went out there and I met people and I learned all these amazing things, and I gained so much knowledge from just going out and meeting people and taking, and learning from their experiences and adding that onto my own experience. So life really is about meeting people and gaining that experience. And I am so grateful for all the people I have met, because honestly, I've learned so much from every room that I've stepped foot in. And it's insane. And I'm only 20. So go out and meet people and make new friends and travel and just make the craziest memories you can. Because life truly is so short. And like I said, it truly just does take one person to completely change your life for the better. So that is my next piece of advice. I don't know what number I'm on. I think maybe I'm on 4, maybe 5. But yes, meeting people is experience. So meet as many people as you can. Okay, the next piece of advice I have got written here is sometimes the best way to solve your own issues is to help someone else. I think sometimes, or a lot of the time, you truly don't figure out the solution until you're giving someone else advice on a similar scenario to what it is you're experiencing. And then through that, it helps you realize that you knew the solution all along and you just didn't want to admit it to yourself. For example, I mean, I'm not in a relationship, but right now, but one of my friends, I could be in a really toxic relationship, right? God forbid, but just for the case of this example, I could be in a really toxic relationship and I don't really realize that I need to let go until my best friend's telling me about her relationship and how, you know, he does these things and she's not quite sure if she's thinking too deeply on it. And in her telling me that, I'm like, oh, wait, no, babe, that is a toxic relationship and you need to let that man go. And then in listening to her tell me about the toxic relationship she's going through, it's clicked in my brain, oh, wait, some of the things that she's just told me her boyfriend's doing, my boyfriend's doing as well. I've just told her to leave this man because he's so toxic and he's disgusting and she could do so much better, but I am actively allowing that in my relationship. So maybe I should take my own advice and I should end the relationship with this guy because he's equally, if not more, toxic. So sometimes it really just does take having a conversation with a random girl in the club toilets to knock some sense into you and make you realize, oh wait, the things that I'm telling this person not to accept, I've been accepting like a dickhead for a year now, and I need to take my own advice. And sometimes you can't see outside of your own opinion if you're not stepping into someone else's scenario. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're so wrapped up in thoughts about what you're currently experiencing that it's completely clouding your judgment. But the second you take a step back and your friend comes to you for advice and you solve their issue, it does make you realize sometimes the answer was just staring at you in the face all along, but you just didn't want to accept it. So again, if you are going through something and you're in a tough situation and you don't quite know the answer, talk to your friends. Because sometimes in helping them, you will be helping yourself. Or just go out to the coffee shop and sometimes you might overhear a conversation that knocks some sense into you, but it truly, life does truly work in crazy ways. Okay, my next piece of advice is, and I know someone out there needs to hear this, if you yourself don't like everyone, why do you think that everyone's gonna like you? And I mean this by sometimes you're not everyone's cup of tea, and sometimes you're not going to get along with everyone, and everyone isn't going to like everyone, and everyone isn't going to like you. And I think that I wouldn't say I was a serious people pleaser, but I think I've always been a liked and likable person. So sometimes when I wouldn't immediately gel with someone, I'd be like, oh shit, this person doesn't like me. This is something I'm not familiar with. I'm not sure how this has happened. What can I do to make them like me? Because everyone else does. Why doesn't this person like me? What the fuck have I done? Or what's wrong with them? Why don't they like me? But I then had to sit myself down and say, Awa, you yourself don't even like everyone. You don't get along with everyone. Well, I wouldn't say I don't get along with everyone, but I'm not friends with everyone. There's some people that I wouldn't by choice surround myself by, and that's okay. That is life. You're not put on this planet to be loved and adored by everyone. No matter where you go, there are going to be people that don't like you. Even Zendaya has people that don't like her. I mean, who doesn't like Zendaya? But it's true. Some people don't like Zendaya. Not everyone on this planet is going to like you. And that is perfectly okay, because we weren't made with that intention. And I think that it's scarier to have everyone like you, because you're not going to face any criticism. You're not going to face any negativity. And you're just going to kind of be looking at life through these rose-tinted glasses and think that everything's perfect. So it's important to meet people that might not like you and might not get along with you. And that's perfectly okay. And it took me a while to realize that I don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. But again, you can't make everyone like you, and you shouldn't try to force people to like you, because that's probably going to make them hate you even more. And as much as you might not want to believe this, we were not put on this earth to be liked by everyone. Your friends and family love and adore you, and that's enough. Becky down the road doesn't have to be your best friend. Paul next door doesn't have to be your best mate. And that's okay. And you need to learn to accept that and be okay with that. Maybe you don't have to accept it, but just be okay with it, because it's the reality of life. Okay, my next piece of advice is people aren't paying attention to you as much as you've made yourself believe. People aren't paying attention to you as much as you think. And as someone that struggles with anxiety, I'm in constant fear that I'm being watched and how I'm being perceived. And you know when you realize that people are watching you, so you kind of forget how to walk? That's kind of what I experience all the time. But so many people, everyone is so wrapped up in their own life and what it is they have to do, that they aren't really judging you as much as you believe. And honestly, I had to tell myself, it's kind of narcissistic to think that everyone is paying attention to you. Yes, it's an anxiety thing, but it truly is narcissistic to think that you are the center of the world, because people have bigger fish to fry than worry about whether you tripped walking up the steps at the Piccadilly line. You know what I mean? Like, people are so wrapped up in their own world, they really don't give a fuck about what you're doing. If you're walking past the bus stop and like you put one foot in front of the other too quickly and you trip and stumble, people are going to think about that for maximum 2 minutes after you've walked off, and then that's it. In my head, if I trip in front of people, they're going to be laughing about it in their group chat, and they're going to be telling everyone they know, hey, this girl with platinum blonde hair tripped in front of me in the bus stop. And then they're going to know who I am, and they're going to search me up on social media and let everyone know that I tripped while I was walking past them in front of the bus stop. And sometimes that's the thought process that goes through my mind, but people really don't care as much as you think they do, at least in the big wide world outside. On social media, it's a completely different ball game. Completely different, because everyone on social media is judgy as fuck. But once you step foot outside and touch some grass, you'll realize that people really don't give a fuck about me. They don't care what I'm doing. They've got bigger things going on in their world than me. No one cares. And I think you need to keep reminding yourself that no one really cares about you as much as you think. And it really is all in your head. That's why, once again, the power of the mind is so strong. But no one cares about you as much as you think. So don't let yourself get wrapped up in thoughts and let it overwhelm you, because no one cares. And don't think in me saying this, I'm fully past that, because I still think, I overthink every little thing I do. And I think everyone's watching me on the underground, but that is just an anxiety thing. But even I have had to learn, and I'm slowly learning, that no one cares. No one gives a fuck about me. Everyone's just out here doing their own thing. And that really is the fact. In our head, everyone cares about us and everyone's paying attention to every little thing we do, but that is not the case. And I'm still learning that. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, but we will get there eventually. Okay, I wanted to fit 20 in here, but I've reached 50 minutes and I've only done like 6 pieces of advice, so we're gonna have to start doing like rapid fire rounds. But the next piece of advice I have, and I think this is so important, and there is definitely someone out there that really needs to hear this, because social media can be very... Oh, I did not fart, by the way. That was my foot against leather. But I think social media has a huge part to play in the way you view yourself. And there is definitely someone out there that needs to hear what I'm about to say. But another person's beauty is never the absence of your own. And what I mean by that is, you could be comparing yourself to people that you scroll past on TikTok and people on the cover of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Dazed and, I don't know, Playboy. But I would spend so much time comparing myself to people that I was never going to look like. I would sit there and compare myself to Hailey Bieber and Kendall Jenner and the Zendayas and Beyoncés of the world. We look completely different. So why would I sit there and compare myself to someone, first of all, that looks absolutely nothing like me? And these people are A-listers, okay? They have had years and years and years to work on their self-love and figure out, I don't know, what color palette complements them the best to enhance their beauty. But what I was doing was comparing myself to the top models of the world who were chosen because they are extraordinarily beautiful. Okay? If you're going to compare yourself to anyone, compare yourself. I mean, if you have to compare yourself, if you thrive off of comparison, which comparison is the thief of joy, which was also another one of my pieces of advice. But if you're going to compare yourself to someone who's on your level, like an average person walking down the street. I was comparing myself to fucking Naomi Campbell. She's one of the most world-renowned models, and I am an average, everyday person. What business do I have comparing myself to Naomi Campbell when she's on a completely different level to me? Okay? And because of social media, we have so much more access to people's lives and their looks and what they post on Instagram and the new bikini they've got that they're going to flaunt beside the pool. But it's not normal to experience everyone's lives at the same time as experiencing yours to this level. We are the first generation that has had to experience this. Our parents never had to experience this. They never had this level of comparison because they were comparing themselves to people that lived down the street from them or people that they would go to school with because that was their world. Now we have access to the whole world at the touch of a button. So comparison and insecurity in the world has gotten so much worse because we have access to everyone. All we have to do is search the right name up on TikTok or Google and we're just hit with everything that we aren't and everything that we could be. So you cannot compare yourselves. You have to learn to separate what you see on social media from your own worth as an individual person. And you've got to realize that people aren't going to post the worst versions of themselves on social media for everyone to see. Social media is so curated, and these days it's so easy to edit people's photos and snatch your waist, which I've learned apparently you can do on like fucking Facetune or some shit. You can completely change the color of your skin and the way your tan looks on Facetune. Social media is so curated, and you don't know how heavily people are editing their pictures. And even if they're not, people are always going to pick the best things to post on social media. Always, always, always. So you cannot compare yourself to a curated version of someone, because it's not an accurate representation of who they are on their day-to-day. When you are on social media, you are viewing what everyone chooses to let you see. So comparison is so easy, and it comes so naturally when you see someone partying on a yacht in the Hamptons with their best friends, and you're at home and you've just come back from your 9 to 5. It's so easy to do that because we have access to it and it's everywhere. But you shouldn't let what you see online diminish your own self-worth. And it's such a difficult battle, because again, we are just hit with it whenever we open our phone, whether we're opening Pinterest or TikTok or Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. It's everywhere. Even if we're on, I don't know, Depop, we're seeing these pictures of these girls in the outfit that they're trying to sell to us. It's everywhere. Everywhere we turn, we're hit with this scary level of perfection that doesn't exist in the real world. And that is where the self-love comes in again. If you have to delete social media because it's negatively impacting the way you view yourself, do that. You have to sit down and have those difficult conversations with yourself and ask yourself how much you really take social media as a representation of real life. If you're completely wrapped up in social media, sometimes you need to take a break, whether that break be a day to completely detox from everything to do with social media or anything to do with social media, whether that's a week, a month, 5 months, a year. You have to sit down and ask yourself, is what I'm viewing on my phone the reason I am so self-critical of myself and the reason I don't believe I'm worthy or beautiful? And is social media the reason that I have these extreme comparisons? If the answer is yes, it's a sign that you need to delete social media and step outside and really touch some grass and realize that social media is exactly that, social media. There's a whole wide world out there that will make you realize that social media is just exactly that, people showing the best versions of themselves. There's a whole wide world out there that will hit you with reality and make you realize that, oh, real life people don't have everything figured out. Like the models I see going to Fashion Week and the people I see sat front row at the Coperni show, you know, there are real life people out there that are going and coming back from a 9 to 5 and that are experiencing real life shit. Even the people behind the screen are experiencing real life shit. But again, people aren't going to show the bad in social media, the bad that's going on in their lives. Social media is for the curated things, the best images of yourself that you select, because you're not going to pick an image to post on the first slide of your Instagram of you looking your absolute worst, are you? No, because everything is curated to perfection. You need to learn to find the value in yourself away from social media and everything you're seeing, and stop comparing yourselves to people that are in a completely different lane to you. It's not healthy. And again, no one's had to experience social media to the level that this generation does, that my generation does. And it's terrible. I saw a video yesterday, actually, of this girl, and she passed away. She was 14. She passed away because of a breast implant that I think had burst inside of her at 14 years old. She wouldn't have felt the need to get those breast implants in the first place if it wasn't for social media. And I think when you look at it like that, people find so much value in beauty that they are willing to die on the surgery table just to meet these impossible expectations that have been set for us by social media and the media. And that was heartbreaking, because it just goes to show that insecurities are being magnified the more the generations go on. And it's heartbreaking that a 14-year-old girl lost her life because she felt so insecure in herself because of everything she was viewing online, that she felt like she needed to change that at 14. It's crazy and insane to me, but that absolutely broke my heart. So again, it's so important to find your worth and your value away from everything that you see online. And again, I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on confidence, but number one, if you find yourself comparing yourself to people, ask yourself, do these people look like me in the first place? If you're someone that looks like me in terms of skin color, why are you comparing yourself to Bella Hadid? You are on the complete other end of the scale to Bella Hadid. You look nothing like her. So if you're comparing yourself to someone that's not even the same race as you, maybe that should flash some red flags that you need to take a step back. Because I found myself comparing myself to people that didn't even look anything like me. And then when I started following people that actually looked a little bit like me in terms of skin color, I realized, oh, I really am beautiful. And I'm just comparing myself to someone that's unattainable because they're on the complete other side of the spectrum to me. Bella Hadid? Why am I comparing myself to Bella Hadid? I have no reason to do that. Hailey Bieber? Why am I doing that? Why? They don't look like me. I'm never going to look like them. And that just makes it so much worse, because a lot of the time people are comparing themselves to people that they look nothing like. And they're not going to look like. No matter how much surgery you do, no matter how much bleaching you do, you are never going to look like Kendall Jenner. And that's just the facts. People compare themselves to people that look nothing like them, and then they wonder why they're so insecure. And I did that. And then, yes, it took some time, but I started unfollowing a lot of people that didn't look like me, and I followed more black creators, more dark-skinned creators and YouTubers and TikTokers, and slowly that built my confidence. If you're a member of the Indian community, follow more Indians. Oh, I just dropped my camera. Follow more Indians. If you're Korean, follow more Koreans. Okay, but even in Korea, there's impossible beauty standards, and that's a topic for another day. But follow people that actually look like you, and then you will find value in yourself and the way you look, because you are following these people that you have a shot at looking like, and that will make you feel confident, more confident. If you see, for example, sometimes I do compare myself to Naomi Campbell, but that makes me feel more confident because there is a dark-skinned black woman in these spaces that weren't created for dark-skinned people. And that made me feel more confident, if that makes any sense. So I started following people that looked like me, and that helped with my confidence. So if you are really insecure and you are questioning your beauty, maybe unfollow all the people that you're comparing yourself to and start afresh and follow people that are in the same category as you in terms of race. because that could be a good start. But I want to say this again, and I need people to really listen to me when I say this. Another person's beauty is never the absence of your own. We are all made to be completely different, and I think that is the beauty in humanity. There is not one person that looks exactly the same. I mean, unless you're identical twins, then let me not even get started on that. But everyone is made differently. Everyone is made to look different. And that is the beauty of life. But don't compare yourself to someone that you look nothing like, because it's just going to make you hate yourself, and not just visually. You will hate who you are to your core. And once you reach that point, it's so difficult to find your way back up. So do not let it get to that point. So I'm going to move on from that. And there will be a whole other podcast episode dedicated to confidence, because I could talk about that for hours. Oh, my belly just rumbled. Because honestly, if you could see where I was 5 years ago, you would understand why I talk so much about the importance of confidence. But again, that's a whole separate podcast episode. Okay, people, the next piece of advice I have is you can't make sense to a person that only comprehends things at their own level of perception, okay? You cannot get through to someone that doesn't want to listen. Someone could believe that the sky is green, and you go to them and you tell them, but no, the sky's blue. If that person 100% believes that the sky is green, and they're not ready to look at it from a different perspective, there is no getting through to them, and you're literally just going to be wasting your breath. If someone isn't willing to hear people out and listen to different perspectives and learn from other people's point of views, then they're just going to be stuck in their beliefs, and they are going to go throughout life believing that the sky is green because they are not ready to look outside of their beliefs. And that's just the fact. And you're going to be draining yourself more by trying to argue with this person. You cannot get through to a person that does not want to step outside their own opinion. And that is just the hard fact that I have had to learn, and that so many people have to learn. Because some people just are 100% stubborn by nature, and they truly believe that their opinion is 100% right, and that there is no convincing them otherwise. Because if this person believes the sky is green, you can't convince them the sky is yellow, and you can't convince them of the fact that the sky is blue, because they are willing to ignore their own eyesight and science and all the evidence that's there to support that the sky is blue, because they truly believe that the sky is green, and there is no convincing them otherwise, because their opinion is 100% fact. And in my mirror, I just saw the neighbor getting into their car, and I was terrified for my life. I thought that there was a man sneaking through the bushes, and I was about to start scrambling to try and lock the door. So I was so locked in that I nearly shat myself. But anyway, again, you are going to tie yourself up in knots trying to argue your point to this person that just isn't willing to hear you out. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Like, I have learned that it's so much easier, and you'll give yourself so much peace of mind if you just let these people learn the hard way that they are wrong. You can only try and prove your point so much, but it does get draining, and there's just no point. Because if someone doesn't want to look outside the box they're in, they're not going to. And it's draining you more than anything, so there is no point. And again, that is something that I have had to learn. And it's frustrating. It's so annoying, because I think that I'm such an open-minded person, and all my friends are so open-minded, and we can have debates and we can argue back and forth in a constructive way, because all of my friends and the people I surround myself by are open-minded, and they are willing to look at life from a different perspective. But some people aren't, and you can't waste your time with those people. So it goes back to my other piece of advice. Surround yourself with people whose morals align with yours. Because you could be arguing with a brick wall, and it's not going to get you anywhere. And that's my next piece of advice. And honestly, it will save you so much stress. It really will. But moving on. I really need a piss. So I don't know whether to stop this here and go for a waz, or keep recording and pushing through because that might actually motivate me to get on and finish my 20 pieces of advice that I have. But I really need a waz. You guys didn't need to know that, but I'm telling you anyway because we're open here. But my next piece of advice, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said, but different opinions is the whole point of life. Life is about learning through experiences, and sometimes the people you meet will give you a different perspective on things, but you have to be open-minded and you have to be willing to listen to people's different views and opinions. I have so many friends that believe in different religions to me, and I am willing to hear them out and listen to their religious experiences because I am open-minded and I don't believe that my opinion and my way of thinking is the only way there is to live. And I think I'm so grateful that I'm surrounded by people who are as open-minded as me and willing to hear everyone out. But I think life would be so boring if everyone just had the same opinion. And that is, I'm not talking extreme examples. I'm just talking like fucking favorite color. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking like extreme, crazy Zionist examples. But I truly think you learn so much from hearing about people's opinions, because me and my best friends, we do not have the same opinion. I do not have the same opinion as my best friend Halima. I mean, we have a lot of the same morals and we think about life the same, but we will still always have differing opinions. Same with Kaz, my best friend Kaz. Same with my best friend Tia. You know what I mean? Like, we all have different opinions, and that's what makes our friendship work so well, because we are willing to hear each other out and we do support each other's opinions, and we are willing to tell each other when we think the other person's opinion is completely sick and twisted, you know. And I think I value those friendships so much. Because yes, we have different opinions, but we are willing to hear each other out and tell each other when we don't agree with their opinions, but then also support each other's opinions. But life really is about having differing opinions to people. And that's just the way it should be when it comes to certain things. But again, some people are just so stubborn that they can't view life outside their own opinion. And those are the people that I try to avoid because they are really annoying. But yeah, that one kind of goes hand in hand to the previous one I had. And this next piece of advice, I am not going to expand on anymore. I am just going to say it and move on. I'm not going to explain jack shit, okay? Someone needs to hear this. You cannot change someone that doesn't want to fucking change. So please save yourself the trouble, okay? You cannot fix him. You cannot fix her. You cannot fix them. Sometimes they are just the problem. And that's it. There'll be someone else's problem, not yours. So move on and save yourself the trouble and the trauma and the heartache and the sleepless nights and the stress and the anxiety and the mental breakdowns. Save yourself all of that. And you can save yourself all that trouble by realizing and accepting that you can't change someone that does not want to change. And that is all I'm going to say. Ladies, gays, anyone out there, please please save yourself the trouble. You cannot change him. Okay, this is not some romance movie, okay, where the good girl changes the bad boy. Okay, it's not. If they don't want to change, they're not going to fucking change, and you're not going to be the one to do that. Because they will hurt you along the way. You can't change someone that doesn't want to change. Moving on. Bye. Okay, some of these on my list, they really don't need an explanation. They just are. The next one on my list is, if it's that deep to you, then it is that deep. If it's deep to you, then it is that deep. And don't let anyone invalidate your feelings. Sometimes you can approach someone and tell them that they've really hurt you, and they will try and tell you that you're being dramatic and it was just a joke, and you need to get a sense of humor. But if it hurt you, then it is that deep, and your feelings are completely valid. And you cannot let someone try and invalidate your feelings, because someone that cared about you, they would never invalidate your feelings, but they would validate them. And they would hold their hands up and say, hey, I didn't know that it would upset you, and I am so sorry that it upset you. I'm so sorry for making you feel that way. If someone approaches you and says, I'm sorry that you felt that way, or I'm sorry that you're upset about that, that's not an apology, okay? And they really don't care. If someone approaches you and say, listen, I'm so sorry, I would never want to make you feel that way, and I'm so sorry for hurting your feelings, then that's a real apology, because there's ways about that. The first example was an example of someone invalidating your feelings. The second was someone validating your feelings. Do not accept people in your life that will invalidate your feelings and your experiences in front of your face. Don't, because your feelings are more than completely valid. And you are valid to feel the way you did. You are valid to feel hurt and betrayed and belittled, and that's okay. Do not let people invalidate your feelings to make themselves feel better about hurting your feelings. Don't do it. Your feelings are completely valid. And surround yourself with people that are going to make you feel validated and not make you feel like you are the problem and you are being dramatic and you need to completely squash your feelings and hide them away. Because the people that truly care about you will always validate you and your experiences and your feelings. And that's just the facts. Okay, and these next pieces of advice kind of go hand in hand, and I don't really feel like these need much explanation, but I will. Number one is you can't force someone to choose you. And you cannot love someone into loving you. And I think a lot of people genuinely believe if they show someone an abundance of love, it will make them love them as well. And that is not the case. Love is a feeling that everyone chooses. You can gaslight yourself into believing that you love someone, but eventually you will realize, hey, wait, I really just don't like this person. And I think, especially when I was younger, I would force myself into liking someone because they liked me and I valued them as a person and I didn't want to hurt them. When in reality, I did not like them in that way. I valued them as a person, but I did not like them in the way that they liked me. And love is something you choose. And you shouldn't ever be someone's second choice. Ever. Just because you love someone does not mean that they will love you back. You can give love, but it does not always mean you will get that love back. And you shouldn't have to sit there and love someone to try and make them believe that they love you. Because if you have to do that, then they do not love you enough. And you need to know that you have to let them go. You shouldn't have to feel like you're forcing someone into loving you. If they love you, they will do that by their own choice. And if they don't love you, it will be very obvious. But again, You cannot love someone into loving you. You will just be giving out all this love and getting none in return, and you will drain yourself and drive yourself insane. No matter how hard you try, if someone doesn't love you, they are not going to learn to love you. You shouldn't have to get someone to learn to love you. They should do that already. So you may love a person, but that does not mean they will love you in the way you love them back. And you're draining yourself trying to prove otherwise. And I'm going to leave that there. My next piece of advice is let them. And that's as simple as that. Let them. If they want to hurt you, let them. If they want to leave you, let them. You cannot control what people do, and what people choose to do with the trust you've given them says so much more about their character than it does about yours. So let them. I'm like a contortionist up in this bitch. Like, I'm putting myself in these uncomfortable fucking positions trying to record this episode, and I still need a piss. But what was my next point? Oh yeah, my next piece of advice is it's okay to set boundaries. It doesn't make you demeaning or controlling or egotistical or stuck up or anything of that nature. It's okay to set those boundaries for your own sanity. And if people cannot respect basic boundaries, cut them off. Because I think it's so important, and it is so okay to set boundaries in any relationship you're in, whether that be an intimate partner or whether that's a friendship and it's purely platonic, whether that's a relationship with your siblings. Boundaries are so important, because if you don't have boundaries, people aren't going to know what lines they cannot cross with you. People aren't going to know what upsets their feelings, what upsets your feelings. People aren't going to know those things because you haven't set those boundaries. And setting boundaries is so important. And sometimes you learn people's boundaries the more you get to know them. But I think that it is okay if you want to sit down and have a conversation with someone. It shouldn't be viewed as weird or strange and out of the ordinary to sit someone down and tell them, hey, so I really respect you and I feel like you're going to be in my life for a long time, but I just wanted to say that if you do this, it upsets me, and I just wanted to talk to you about my boundaries and things that I didn't like in things I don't like in friendships or relationships. And I think that that should be okay. And I think society does view having those conversations as weird, but it's not. It's not weird to set boundaries from early on, because then you know that if someone pushes those boundaries or if someone tests those boundaries, it's because they don't value you or respect you as a person. But if you never set those boundaries in the first place, how can you be that upset if someone crosses the line and if they do something that hurts you? It's important to set those boundaries so people know where they stand. And that's something that's important for you to do, so they can understand you better as a person, and so this person does know what hurts you and what upsets you. Because sometimes, people aren't just going to naturally know their limits with you. So if people cross the line, they're not going to know that they crossed the line because you haven't already set that pre-existing boundary. So set boundaries. It's not weird. It doesn't make you controlling. You're doing it for your sanity, and that's important. Set those boundaries. Okay, I think I'm going to hit you guys with maybe 4 or 5 more pieces of advice, because this podcast episode has gone on way too long and I've nearly reached an hour and a half, and I refuse to reach the 2-hour mark because that is outrageous. But anyway, the next piece of advice, I did try to shout just then because I was scared that you were going to hear the planes, but the noise cancellation on this baby is so good. But Anywho, my next piece of advice. What shall my next piece of advice be? I think this one's very self-explanatory, but be delusional and be a visionary to an extent, because I have always known as a kid, I've always kind of just felt this, that I am going to be crazy successful and I'm going to achieve greatness. I've never known how I'm going to achieve that greatness, but you cannot convince me that I am not destined for something great. I know that everyone would always tell my parents, your kids are so special, but there's something about that one. And I always heard that growing up. So I always knew that myself, and I would always hear that, and it further kind of solidified that for me. I always heard she's destined. I don't know what I'm destined for, but whatever it is, I know it's greatness, and I don't know how exactly I'm going to achieve it, but I know that I'm destined for greatness, and no one and nothing can convince me otherwise. I know that I'm going to get that New York City studio apartment. I know that I'm going to have that Doberman. I know that I'm going to be a successful stylist in New York. And I know that. And I've always felt that. I don't know how and when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen for me. So sometimes you do have to be, and I don't even think that's delusional, because I genuinely think I know I'm going to achieve it. So sometimes in your goals, you have to be a bit delusional. And you have to maybe manifest the most outlandish, crazy things for yourself. And it's okay to maybe be a bit delusional, like knowing you're going to get somewhere, or knowing that you want something for yourself and not knowing how you're going to get there. Sometimes delusion is what gets you to where you need to be. And that's okay. But, sometimes delusion can get a little bit scary. And I'm not talking, I believe that I'm going to get with Tom, but Tom's with Megan. I don't know how I'm going to get Tom, but I'm going to get Tom. That's psychotic. That's not what I mean. I mean in terms of your goals and your ambitions, not in terms of stealing someone's man, because I can't help you with that one. And this does not apply to that. But be delusional, be a visionary, want for yourself, want more for yourself. And that's okay. And I believe that that's okay. And I know I'm going to achieve greatness. Ask me how I'm going to get there. I don't fucking know. But I'm going to get there. And that's all you need to know. But be delusional and want more for yourself. Always want more for yourself. It's okay to want something for yourself. And that's my next piece of advice. Okay, we're definitely going to split this into 2 parts because I've got so much more advice. But the next thing is show someone you'll stay with them through anything, and they'll put you through anything. If you are constantly staying in a toxic relationship with someone, that person is going to think that they can do anything. They can say anything. They can cheat on you as many times as they want, and you're always going to take them back because you've showed them that you are willing to take them back, even though they've treated you like shit. And this just doesn't just apply to a significant other. This could apply to any sort of relationship you're in, a relationship with your friends, a relationship with your siblings. If you are going to accept toxic behavior, do not be surprised when toxic behavior is constantly seeping itself into your life. Because if you're accepting it, you're showing the universe and you're showing the people around you that you will accept it time and time again. If you are willing to accept bad behavior will find you. It will. And if you're in a toxic relationship and your boyfriend's cheated on you 5 times and you've taken him back every single time, and then you find out he's cheated on you a 6th time, why are you surprised? You've showed him that you're willing to take him back. You've showed him that you're willing to take this disrespect over and over and over again. So now he's ran with that, and he doesn't believe that he can do anything. Well, he believes that he can do anything, and you're going to stay with him because you've showed him that you are willing to accept this bad behavior. So do not be surprised when more bad behavior continues to find you, because now these people are willing to push your boundaries further because they don't believe you have any, and they are willing to find out what your limits are. Do not let people believe that they can constantly fuck you over and there are going to be no consequences to their actions. Do not accept bad behavior because you are truly accepting the life that you think you deserve if you are accepting that behavior. If you're accepting a man that's going to cheat on you, it's because you believe that you are deserving of being cheated on. If you don't believe that you're deserving of being cheated on, don't allow this person to cheat on you time and time again and take them back. And it's as simple as that. And I know it's easy for me to say to cut that relationship off, but I know that if someone is willing to hurt me time and time again, they do not care about me as much as I wish they did. And if someone is going to hurt you over and over again, they do not care about you as much as you wish they did. So if you show someone that you will accept anything, they will put you through absolutely everything. Do not let it get to that point. And this goes back to what I was saying before. Set boundaries with people. It's so important. You cannot let people think that you're a pushover because they will keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to figure out how much more they need to push you for you to break completely. Do not let it get to that point. Take control of your life and take control of the energy you put out. Because the energy you put out is exactly what you will get back. Do not let people push you to your limit. Don't do it. And I don't think I have to explain that anymore. Okay, my next piece of advice is, and I don't think I need to explain this. I hope I don't need to explain this any further, but if you are accepting the bare minimum, you will receive less than minimum. People will only give out what they think you deserve. So again, if you are accepting toxic behavior, and if you're accepting a man that does the bare minimum, he's going to think that he doesn't have to do much to please you and to keep you. You cannot let people in your life that think all they have to do is the bare minimum, close to fuck all, to stay in your life. You have to show people that you have standards, or they are going to show you the standards that they believe you deserve, if that makes any sense. Do not accept the bare minimum. Okay, so my neighbor has decided that he wants to do fucking like what are those, what's that shit, like wheelies or some shit, donuts, I don't know, like right behind my car. So the fuck's that about? But anyway, do not accept the bare minimum from anyone, because there is always going to be someone out there that shows you more than you could have ever wanted for yourself. Do not settle for the bare minimum. Because if you settle for the bare minimum, you're doing exactly that, settling. And you cannot be surprised when they stop trying and they stop showing you they care, and they do less than the bare minimum. Because that's what you're accepting. Do not accept it, because trust me, you deserve so much better, and there is someone that's out there willing to show you just how much you deserve. And that's just all I have to say on that. I shouldn't have even had to explain that, but there is someone out there that needed to hear that, I hope. This next piece of advice is something that I have, not recently, I'd say over the last year and a half, I've started to live by and fully embrace. I think I would give this advice to so many people, but I would never actually take it myself. And over the last year and a half, I've started doing that. But long days, short years. So make the most of it, because life truly will pass you by if you do not make the most of it. You've got to live, and this is extreme, but it's true. You have to live, my boss says this all the time, you have to live life as if you're going to die tomorrow, God forbid. But it's true. Because if you just sit there and do nothing, with your life, you are going to get nothing. Not all of us can be born into rich families. I mean, I'm grateful that I wasn't, but not all of us can be born into rich families and just kind of have everything handed to us. You have to work for what you want. Long days, short years. Don't let time pass you by. Do something with the life you've been given. Because not everyone even lives long enough to see the age that I have seen. I'm 20. Not everyone has lived long enough to see that. And you'd think 20 is the bare minimum. I think all of us just believe that we're going to live to 90, and that's not always the case. So you have to truly live every day as if it's your last, and you've got to make the most of it. And I've definitely been trying my best to do that over the last year and a half. But I think living life every day to the fullest really is all you can do, because you never know what's in the cards for you, and you never know what life has in store, but you truly do have to make the most of it. And I think everyone should live by that. But I think that's the last piece of advice I have for this episode. This is just part one, shall we say, because I've got so much more I could say, but I've literally been talking for nearly an hour and 40 minutes. So I think we are going to leave that there. But before I end this podcast episode, I just wanted to say to all my lovies that are entering their 20s or are already in their 20s, don't put pressure on yourself. I mean, your 20s are for figuring shit out and just trying to navigate this insane, crazy world that we live in, because it's ever changing, and the things that our parents had to experience, we don't have to experience anymore. The things that we are experiencing, our parents never did have to experience. So I think it's important to realize we cannot live like the previous generations, because the world is not the way it was all those years ago. And it's going to show us exactly why we can't live like the previous generations. We've got to adapt. I mean, our parents already lived their lives, and now it's our turn to experience this world that will be completely different in 10 years or 20 years when we potentially have our own children. Your 20s can be so lonely and isolating and draining, but they will also bring so much self-discovery and new opportunities and relationships. You've got to allow space for growth and mistakes in your 20s, and allow time for solitude and self-love, because your 20s will bring so much change. But not having everything figured out in your 20s is not the end of the road for you. Your 20s is where your story finally starts, and anything before your 20s was just the prologue. It's not the final chapter, and it's not the final product, and it's not where you will finish your life. It's your 20s. You know, your 20s is where you discover the path that life has planned for you. But during this chapter, allow yourself time to breathe and sit with yourself and reflect on just how far you've come. Because your 20s is a fresh start, or for some, simply a start. It's where your life starts. So enjoy your 20s. It is so normal to feel a sense of panic in your 20s. They say that the 20s are the panic years, and you feel like you need to have everything figured out by yesterday or tomorrow. You feel like you need to buy a house or fall in love and start a family. because that is what society has always told us that we need to have by our 20s. You don't. You don't need to have any of that figured out. What you need to do is live life, not live the life that society deems necessary, but live life for you. Everybody feels lost in their 20s. Everyone. It's a collective thing. It's not just you. So as much as it may feel that way, you aren't alone in this experience, and you aren't alone in what you're feeling. The panic of your 20s is so intense, but don't let it consume you to the point where all you see and feel and think and breathe is that panic. I mean, think of it this way. Even if you have to gaslight yourself into believing it, think of it this way. We experienced a whole pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. Businesses were closed, schools were shut, and everyone, no matter where you were in the world, was forced to stay at home and put their lives on hold. The whole entire world was at a standstill, and nobody knew what the fuck was happening. Nobody knew what to expect because nobody had experienced such a thing ever before. COVID took nearly 3 good years from us. 3 years of confusion and on and off again isolation. So technically, we have 3 years to catch up on and get to where we want to be. We got those 3 years taken away from us. We have 3 years to get back to where we want to be. So you're not behind. If anything, you're ahead. You know, I blinked and I was 18 and now I'm 20. When last time I checked, I was 14 making fucking whipped coffee and watching Outer Banks and Money Heist and Squid Games and You for the first time. You know, COVID was a shock for everyone. So technically, you are 3 years ahead. Look at it that way if you need to look at it in any way. I mean, I always get emotional on my birthday, and normally that is because I hate it and I wish the clock would strike midnight and bring on the next day. But this year I was emotional because I felt the weight of potential and everything I have yet to achieve, and the life I have and have always wanted is just inching closer and just so far out of reach, you know? My teenage years, the majority of my teenage years, I'd say after 16 it got better, but parts of my childhood as well were absolute hell. Absolute hell, and I will explain why later down the line. So with this new milestone, I feel kind of a weight, in a sense, being lifted off my shoulders, and I refuse to let that weight be replaced by the pressures of aging. 20 seems like a big number in terms of age sometimes, but in your 20s, you are still so young, and you're not even halfway through the life that everyone should be blessed enough to live. You know, you still have time to travel, to try new food and make new friends and change your style and your hair and your mindset and make terrible decisions when it comes to your haircut. You know, you have time for all of that because life is nothing but time, and everyone's time is different, but it's exactly that, time. We are stuck in this world with nothing but time, so do something with it. Don't let that time pass you by. You know, take yourself out for brunch, sit under the stars with nothing but your thoughts. You could start a book club, I don't know, run a marathon, train to swim the channel fucking C or whatever the fuck it's called, or whatever it is your heart desires. Your 20s are time to do all of that and more. Or, maybe they're not. Maybe your 20s are the time you give yourself a break and mend and completely heal. And that is more than okay as well, because your 20s are for you. You are your own person now more than ever. So live life for you and not this version of you that people want to paint. Your 20s are 100% for you. So, grab them by the balls. Grab those 20s by the balls and grip them tight. Okay? Squeeze them. Do everything or do nothing, or do everything and nothing. The 20s will be the first time in your life when it's completely your life to live the way you want it. The first 20 years of your life might not have been yours to live, but they are now. And I know so many people fear aging and growing up, but the one comfort that I find, at least, is that all my friends are going to be doing it with me, and they're experiencing it too, and we're all in this together. So when I turned 20, I knew that my best friends Halima and Kaz, for example, had already done it, and they'd been there and done that, and they'd passed that milestone of entering their 20s. So when I was entering my 20s, I was joining them, and so many of my other friends that had already entered their 20s, and I was just joining them in that. And they had been reaching out their hand for me to grab so we could continue this journey together. And you're not entering your 20s alone. You have so many friends that are going to do it with you, so many people around you that have already done it. Your parents have been there and long done that. So you are not in this alone, and the 20s can be so scary. But just know that other people are feeling that as well. And it's not just you. And again, it does feel isolating and lonely, and it's so daunting. But these are going to be the best years of your life, because they are finally your life to live. And that's the comfort you can find in entering your 20s. But with that being said, I think that is everything that I have to say on this topic. I'm definitely going to do a part 2, because there is so much more pieces of advice I have to give. I just have to wrap this up because it's going to be nearly 2 hours. I think this is going to be my longest podcast recording that I've ever done. But I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for listening to another Things Left Unsaid episode with me, Our Kamara. I do not have any book or TV recommendations because this is already so long that I do not want to get into it. Oh, but one thing I do have to say is I have ordered this book, and it's called Alchemized. I believe it could be The Alchemized or Alchemized. I've seen it all over TikTok, but I did not fully. Then after I ordered it, I did a deep dive on the backstory of this book, and it is very dark. So I am going to keep you guys updated on my journey reading The Alchemized. My dad is currently going in his car right now. Hi, Dad. But I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. That is the book that I will be reading when it actually gets here. But that is the book recommendation. Actually, I can't even recommend it yet because it's not here. But just know I will be starting that as soon as it arrives. But other than that, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for listening to another Things Left Unsaid episode. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next one. Mwah. I love you. Bye.